I wonder what that is. Yeah, that's the Arizona Memorial. It's Pearl Harbor Day. Anybody know who that is? It's my mom and dad. They're Pearl Harbor Day today. There were 66 veterans that a retired NFL football player did an all expense included paid for trip for these 66 vets to go to this celebration, and the first class treatment all week. So it's been raining really hard there, but they were able to have the ceremony and on the, I think it was the deck of the memorial for the Arizona. So that was just today. Not a good picture. That was today. My wife got COVID day after Thanksgiving, and then a couple of days after that, I didn't feel very good. I got really short of breath playing basketball. It scared me because I couldn't run. And then I got a sore throat and then a cold, and I couldn't speak over the weekend. But I've been tested twice for COVID, and I've been negative. I was tested again yesterday, and I don't know the results, but I'm starting to feel better. But before I get to a few review slides, I want to just, if I've said this before, I'm going to say it again because I want to caution you about COVID. I don't know why you're not hearing this on the news. This is so much worse than it was last year. I heard that Union had 28 beds in their emergency room. 27 of those beds were waiting to be admitted to the hospital, waiting for a bed to open up. Trinity Steubenville, our parent hospital, had the same kind of numbers, people waiting for a hospital. We have now started to have patients die in our hospital from COVID, which we never had before because they're do not resuscitate code status, they're comfort care. And so it's like some people are coming to the hospital and you know they're gonna die. And never thought we'd see this. It is awful. I mean, last week somebody in Michigan was trying to get admitted to the hospital with COVID, couldn't find a hospital. They called Steubenville. They said, we got a bed, but how are you gonna get here? Ground transport wouldn't take them. The ambulances are all busy. Couldn't get a med flight to go across state borders. So a family member paid $16,000 to fly this person by a Learjet to Steubenville. They actually had 2 of those come to Steubenville this week. That's how bad it is. It is terrible. And so I want to just, having done hospital work through this and having sister-in-law pass away, and then some of my children have had it, and then all I've seen in the hospital, I want to give you some advice on how to protect yourself from COVID. So there's 2 phases of COVID. There's the first 7 days when the virus is just ramping up. It's just replicating really fast. And then there's the day 8 and on. That's where the virus has already replicated, and now your body's getting inflamed. Your immune system has caught up to it and said, okay, we're going to help you. The problem is the immune system goes overboard, and the excess inflammation builds up fluid in the lungs. It makes the lungs stiff. You can't get oxygen in the lungs. It makes the blood, it injures the lining of the blood vessels, so you get more blood clots, more heart attacks and strokes. All kinds of bad things happen with this. So the key is to stop this virus from replicating early on. So the first thing that I would suggest you do is get tested early. Don't put it off. Now, it doesn't, I don't know what to tell you. That first day you have a sore throat, I'm not saying you should get tested then, but don't let it linger to the 4th day or 5th day and say, okay, I think I'm gonna go get tested, and then you find out on the 6th or 7th day you're positive. Well, now that's had 7 days to really upload. You got a lot of virus in your body. And if you're healthy, you'll probably be okay. But some healthy people don't do well with this either. So you want to enhance your immune system. You want to get on these treatments early on to stop the virus from replicating. So I personally think ivermectin is a great start, as a great drug to take. And then some people use hydroxychloroquine. what they say is zinc in combination with ivermectin. Zinc poisons the enzyme that replicates the virus, so it can't replicate, and ivermectin helps it get into the nucleus of the cell where it's replicating. So that's the combination. But vitamin D, we know, clearly enhances your immune system. A good dose of vitamin D, 10,000 units, which I already told you in week 5 that most of us need. And then vitamin C, I said week 5, I think 1,000 milligrams a day. This is 2,000. And then zinc, probably 50 milligrams a day or maybe twice a day. You should be taking those 3 supplements through this whole pandemic. But if you get infected, see if you can get some ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. Go to the frontline doctors, talk to your family doctor. I know the FDA doesn't recommend this, but this is a harmless drug, and it can help. I had a patient whose family signed her out AMA because they wanted to take her, she had a power of attorney, they wanted to take her someplace else to a clinic. I said, she won't even survive the trip, because this was a 2-hour trip. She was advancing with more and more oxygen requirements and not able to do the treatments I'm going to show you here. And we felt terrible about letting this person go who wasn't capable to make her own decisions. And we called the clinic and she wasn't there. The sheriff was sent to make on a well check to the patient's house, and she was there getting breathing treatment. Scared to death, she was dying. I got a note a couple days later that they did go up to this clinic, and a list of all the medications, a lot of these supplements and a couple others, heavy dose of ivermectin. And she made a follow-up appointment with me. I don't know if she's still alive. If she's alive, that's a testimony for the power of ivermectin. So I'll know in a couple weeks if she comes to see me. Yes?
Can you take ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine with the supplements also?
Just, you take one or the other.
Not both?
No, not both. Ivermectin, you have to watch that with liver. Hydroxychloroquine, if you have certain heart conditions, prolonged QT, you can't take it. But otherwise, these are pretty harmless drugs. Vanderbilt is doing a study right now with hospitalized patients with ivermectin. We are desperate enough at our hospital, we're small, we're going to see if we can get an ivermectin protocol for the hospital patients, because there's nothing to lose. We can't let people die. We have to do more than what we're doing. And what they were showing you last year that was happening in New York that some people didn't believe was real, I don't know how much of that was real, but it's bad. It is really bad if you don't know. You do not want to have a heart attack now. You don't want to get sick now. You don't want a hospital now. The regional hospitals that take trauma patients are diverting. They're not even accepting trauma patients because they don't have beds for them. So don't get in a car accident. Don't get hurt. I mean, be careful. It's crazy. So the other thing you can do on this list is the monoclonal antibodies. I don't know why Union Hospital or Cleveland Clinic doesn't approve this, doesn't do this. We're doing this at our hospital is for anybody that tests positive. If you don't require oxygen, most people will qualify for this, and you get this early. My wife got it on day 4, and she felt better the next day. So don't wait till day 8 or 9 to get this. Get this early. Cambridge is still doing it, and they have openings. I think Coshocton does too. But get a monoclonal antibody. These are the antibodies to the virus. That I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and that can help. But we've had some people wait so long that they get the antibody infusion and they go right from the infusion right into the hospital because they can't breathe. So don't wait that long. And then quarantine. One of the reasons this is it's going to get worse because we've had Thanksgiving, and then we'll have Christmas and New Year's, and you know what it's like out there. People are just done with all this, right? We want to forget that it's there. We want to storm the field, when Ohio State wins the Rose Bowl, and we want to have our family get-togethers, and, my niece coming from out west, and, other family members sit around the Thanksgiving dinner table after being on planes. It's like, I don't know who's carrying it. And the vaccinated who often carry it and don't know they're carrying it. It's hard to know where this is coming from but it's bad, and we still need to be careful. Now, once you get to the point where you can't breathe, and you come to the hospital because you can't breathe, and we have to put you in the hospital, then what we have to do is reduce the inflammation. And steroids are really the best treatment. If you don't require oxygen and you can't breathe and you're wheezy, I'll give you steroids at home. But when your pulse oximeter on your finger drops down below 90% or 88%, you need to be in the hospital. We have to give you oxygen, and that's the point, give you oxygen. So we'll put you on oxygen, and we'll give you higher and higher flow oxygen to keep your saturation levels up. The one thing that people have to do in a hospital, if you want to live, you have to breathe deep. I asked a lady last week, do you want to die? Because if you don't start breathing deep, you're going to die. And of course, she's the one exception who should have died, and a couple days later, boom, she turned around. I have no idea how she turned around, because the person in the room next to her should have done much better and did worse. But when we say breathe deep, we want you to breathe into an incentive spirometer where you're sucking on a tube, and we're measuring how much air you get in, and you're trying to fill up the bottom of your lungs. You want every space of your lung to have oxygen in it. For most of us who just sit and we don't do much, we're not expanding the bottom of the lungs, and we're missing some airspace. When you're in that situation, you've got to get air down in your lungs. You got to do that 10 times an hour. I've seen patients who just lay on their side. I don't want to do that. That makes me cough. It hurts. I don't want to do it. Curled up, and they die. You have to do this. And especially if you're obese, you can't push your diaphragm down because your belly's in the way, and you can't get air. So what do you do when you can't get enough air in your lungs? You breathe faster, and your diaphragm muscle goes faster, your ribs move faster, and like anything that tires out after a marathon, your muscles give up. And then you become like my sister-in-law who said, I just can't do it anymore. Breathe for me. And you'll have to go on a ventilator. So you have to do that incentive spirometer. If you can lay on your stomach, that helps to put shunt blood to the front part of the lungs where you can get better air exchange. And then if you're in the hospital, don't lay in bed all day. I mean, get up and walk around the room with your oxygen on. As long as you can keep your saturations up, get up and expand your lungs. People are dying because they're not doing these things for themselves. I'm sorry, but I'm really frustrated because I see this. And there's something that we can all do if we get to that point. So hopefully this makes sense. Stop the viral replication early by these treatments. Don't put off being tested so you can do these things early. And then if you get to this point, steroids can help open the lungs, but you have to do the breathing. We give you breathing treatments as well, but you got to, excuse me, you've got to do this because too many people are dying because they just won't do it. I told a lady earlier in the week her husband died because she didn't do what I told him to do. It's sad. Okay, so let me go back to, that was just my little soapbox, but it's real out there. You just please respect it and do all the things I'm suggesting. This is kind of a summary of what we've talked about in Fit for Life, and this is Louis Pasteur. On his deathbed, he recanted what he thought it was all about the cell. What happens in the cell is what dictates how healthy you're going to be. But he recanted this on his deathbed. And what he said is the cell is nothing. It's the matrix. It's the environment. It's what you put in your cell. It's what environment you put the cell in that determines how healthy it will be. If you have two identical twins who are healthy, you put one twin in a healthy environment and the other twin in a very unhealthy environment. And when I say environment, I mean everything. Emotionally unhealthy, not safe, maybe a crack house full of fast foods and alcohol and drugs. Those environments will completely change the genetic expression of those two individuals that are genetically the same. So environment is what dictates it. So be really cautious of your environment at every level. Another message is that the body responds quickly to what we expose it to, right? So this is the lining of a blood vessel. 24 hours after eating a bunch of sugar, you see that fuzziness on the left. turns into this basically a naked artery on the right, and now cholesterol can more easily penetrate the lining of the arteries. That changes in 24 hours, but it also heals quickly as well, just like a cut heals, just like a broken bone heals. Your body will heal itself. All you have to do is get out of the way. You wouldn't break a bone and then say, well, let's see if it's still broken. Snap, no, it's not broken yet, or it's not healed yet, and keep breaking it, but sometimes we do that. The body is capable of healing itself if we just give it a chance. Okay, so this is just words here. Okay. Another example of this is leaky gut. And what we showed you here is how the lining of your gut has a lot of folds in it, like you see right here. But if the gut gets inflamed because you take acid blockers, you take too many steroids, you take too many antibiotics, you eat the wrong foods, environmental toxins, you destroy the lining of your intestines. And then things start to leak in through your intestines in between the cells that don't belong there because you lose this cement that holds it real tight. And now you get an autoimmune inflammatory response. This happens quick, but also reverses quickly. And it may take a significant change in your diet to do this. If you've got celiac disease or gluten intolerance, you can't heal your gut by still having 2 pieces of toast every day. You got to get away from anything that's got gluten in it before it'll heal. And then I want to emphasize the power of belief, the biology of belief. And we talked about how we change the way our nerves are wired in our brain. And I wanted to put another image on this slide, which is the John Hancock signature, right? You remember that. Signing with your right hand to your left hand. The more you do things, the more you do these habits, the easier it becomes until it's automatic and your brain doesn't have to think. That's how you change your neural net, your wiring. That's how you change your pattern of thoughts. That's how you change your emotional responses to situations that you normally, that triggers me, always takes me to that place, and this makes me say this. That's how you change those things, is believing that you can change that physiology and that anatomy in your brain. This is a summary slide that shows you what should be on your plate. And the proportions here are intentional. This should be mostly food. That's how we heal. Hopefully you got that out of, that's 70% of how we heal is what we eat. We need to drink good quality water. Water is nature's form of the best hydration we can drink. And there probably is a minor role for supplements. And then we'll go back to this cholesterol story because I saw patients today with high cholesterol. It's not about cholesterol, it's how inflamed is your body. How do you know if your body's inflamed? Does anybody remember? There's a couple answers here. You ache, your joints hurt. That's inflammation.
You're tired.
Tired. How about the C-reactive protein, right? You guys measured that. If that's above 1, then your arteries are inflamed at least, right? We mentioned arthritis pain. Okay, good. If you're overweight, you got a gut, you're inflamed. You may not feel it, but that gut is very, very inflammatory. Okay, so it's not about cholesterol, it's about inflammation. Heart disease is an inflammatory problem, not a cholesterol problem. Now, we're kind of hitting different topics here, but if you're trying to lose weight, you want to keep your insulin level down, right? You don't want the insulin level up like it's up if you're snacking. Even if you're having a little snack in the morning, a half of an orange, and then, just maybe a carrot or 2 here, and then at lunch you just have a half of a baked potato, and here you have another small serving of some starch. Each one of these are keeping your insulin levels up. And you've only got a few times during the day where the insulin levels drop down and where you're actually burning fat. That's why nibbling is not, through the day, is not a good way to lose weight, because your insulin level stays elevated. If you want to lose weight, you have to lower the insulin level. And that means you don't eat as much. So that's where intermittent fasting comes in. So you're eating at a certain window of time, and every other time the insulin level is low, that's when you burn fat. That's when your Leptin levels goes up, tells you you're full, and the ghrelin levels that are telling you you're hungry. They stop talking to you. They stop telling you to eat. We talked a little bit about posture and upper and lower cross syndrome. So neck pain and migraine headaches are when this muscle here is real tight and the chest muscles are tight, because we sit like this, doing that. Those muscles and those muscles get tight. And then the opposite muscles get weak. The muscles in our back here and the muscles in our neck get weak. Do you remember the exercise I told you to check to see if these muscles are weak? You lay down flat, tuck your chin, and lift your head up slightly. And if your head's shaking, those muscles are weak because you're doing this posture too much. Okay, and then this one is really common. This is probably the most common form of back pain. When the gluteal muscles are weak because all you do is sit on them, and the abdominal muscles are weak because you don't really use those, your hips start to roll forward. And then when the hips roll forward like this, that makes you lean this way, and your hip flexors are tight, pulling you forward. And you know you can't walk around like that because that looks stupid. So you stand up, but your body wants to pull you down here. And to stand up, you're using these muscles right here. And they get really tight. And then they hurt. And then they squeeze down on your vertebrae where the nerve roots come out. And now you've got impingement, you've got sciatic down your leg, you're going down your leg, that burning pain. So this, whoops, let me go back to the slide. I went too fast. This requires that we stretch the hip flexors, that we do the cat camel that Dr. Jakubowski showed us to stretch these muscles. It requires that we tighten our abs, and I would not suggest sit-ups. Why would sit-ups be a bad exercise looking at this picture?
Because you're moving back when you sit-ups.
Yeah, you're going to strain this part of your back with sit-ups. It's already tight, but you're also going to tighten your hip flexors when you come up all the way doing a sit-up. So the best ab exercises are planks, right, where you're just holding your body stiff. Everybody knows a plank, right? Like a push-up stand. And then how do you strengthen your glutes? You do squats or walking lunges, okay? But make sure you're doing them right. Make sure you're not doing anything to hurt yourself. That's how you fix your back pain, that mechanical back pain. Okay, so let's see what's another one I got here for you. Okay, we talked about this, I think, last week. These are all the things that help you heal, right? This is a summary slide. Hormones definitely play a role. Supplements play a role. Getting good rest and exercise. What's missing here? Food, right? That food is how you heal. Food is your medicine. And that's what Hippocrates said a long time ago. So that should be your approach. I don't remember if we talked about, did we talk about the rabbit study? We didn't talk about the rabbit study? Okay, good. I was hoping maybe we didn't. So there was a study done. Oops, did I miss a slide here? Boy, I hope I didn't miss a slide. I might have taken it out. Well, let's see. Oh, I missed the slide. Okay, let me tell you the study. So there was a study done with rabbits, and they put rabbits on a given diet, and then they were supposed to see how they did with this diet. And they noticed, and rabbits are a really good animal to study heart disease because they develop heart disease much like humans. So they were studying heart disease, I think, in these rabbits. And every time they did this study, there was one group of rabbits that had no heart disease. And they're like, we can't figure out why. We didn't do anything different to these rabbits. It was the same food, the same temperature, the same, everything was the same. And then they realized, oh, but there was one of these postdoctoral assistants, her name is Marina Levisk. She didn't just drop the food in the cages. She actually took the rabbits out of the cage, held them and pet them, and fed them the food in her hands, and then put them back in the cage. And she did do this for a certain group of the rabbits because those were her to take care of. That was the only difference that was done. And they thought, well, that's kind of odd. Would that have anything to do with the fact that they didn't have any heart disease? That she just talked to them and petted them and loved them. And they did this study, they repeated this study time and again. They got the same results. So the conclusion was that human kindness could impact physiology, and this was shown over and over in other studies. Okay, so there is something to be said about the power of touch and a soft voice, a comforting voice, and just the interaction that we have with others. So I just think that's pretty cool that touch and talking and loving can change physiology. And you see that in healthier people. You tend to see that more. All right, so another thought that is all creation begins with a thought. You guys walked in here. Did you know you created your day today? You decided how you were going to look by how you dressed, right? You decided how you're going to act by how you felt when you got out of bed. I feel crappy today. I'm going to let everybody know it. Or I feel pretty good. Or whatever. I'm okay until I had to talk with my teenage daughter, and she really made me mad. I can't shake it, so everybody else is going to know that. All right, so we're creating our day. So what is it that you're creating? What have you been creating the last 12 weeks? So I think the next slide is it's a summary of what type of energy do you bathe your cells in? What type of energy do you bathe your mind in or your souls in? So on the left, we have these energies that are disease enhancing, right? They don't tend to help us heal. Does everybody know what dead food is now? Do you know what I mean by that? Can somebody tell me what dead food is? It doesn't come from the earth, and it has no energy in it, right? So it's processed. It doesn't have any antioxidants in it, all right? So God gave us live food. It's alive till we throw it in a microwave and kill it. Okay, but a cracker is a dead food. There is no energy in a cracker. A Diet Coke has no energy. In fact, when you measure the energy, it's a negative energy. It's an oxidizing energy. It's an age-enhancing energy. It's a disease-enhancing energy. So we don't want dead foods. Dead foods are everything you see in the store until you get to the produce aisle, and maybe a few things in other places. Okay. Have you guys kind of seen how relationships can affect your health through the course of this last 12 weeks? How some people stress you out and like, forget my diet today, I'm having cookies. You know, they stressed me out. I'm going to go get donuts for my coworkers because they're having a bad day. But you can see, right, how relationships really impact us. Okay, but on the other hand, we have all these things that are the positive energies. And, you know, I don't want to overlook this because these first 3 or 4 are so important. And we forget them. You can't be a mean person and be healthy, I don't think. You can't be a selfish person and be healthy. Okay, so those are all the positives. And the reading assignments I've given you have been designed to help you think about some of these other more non-tangible relationships and mind and thought kind of things. And then I just wanted to say that this message isn't new. I have this picture in my office, and I love the quote from the 2 passages here. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. Wouldn't you like that? If you believe in this person as your Savior or your God, wouldn't you like for God to tell you what to do right now with the world we're living in? I just need some clarity. I just need some direction. And maybe He has given you that clarity. But you go out and you listen to other people, and then you get all confused again. And sometimes for me, I feel like I have to stop watching the Instagram posts, and I have to stop listening to the news and hearing the things that are so polarizing and so confusing, and just go back to that center, quiet place where I feel good about the message that I'm getting. And then the other passage in Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. I've told you stories about messages I feel like I've received from God. That they don't happen that often, but when they come to me, they're pretty clear, and they're pretty obvious it's not me. I hope that all of you turn to some higher source and find a way to get some peace and some message, because the world is so confused right now, and it's so there's so much bad happening that if we get focused on that, anxiety levels are up, and I think we can find peace in a difficult world, but I think we have to go to the best places. I think we have to try to keep all the negative voices out of our heads and just be really careful with all those negatives that are surrounding us. We have so many choices every minute of the day. So this is a very small seed. Whoops, you can't see it, so it's really small. See this one there? Really small. So that 2.5 centimeters is about an inch. So you can see these are really small seeds. If you nourish this seed and plant it, give it everything it needs, it'll start to sprout. But before you see the little sprout come up, you're not seeing anything. But is there anything happening before the sprout comes up? What's happening? It's growing. The seeds are starting to open up and the roots are going down, right? You all remember that, taking a little Dixie cup home when you're in grade school and putting on the windowsill and waiting and wondering. Well, something is happening. But you dig it up. It's like dig it up before you see the signs of your faith. Don't do that. Just keep having faith. Keep watering it, nurturing it, and it'll grow. It'll start to sprout. And if you give it the nourishment it needs, pretty soon this small little seed becomes a redwood tree, one of the biggest trees on the earth. And it's powerful. I don't know if I remember this poem, but I just thought of it. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but always stood out in the open plain and got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man, but lived and died as he began. In trees and mid, good timber grow, where thickest stands the forest growth. We find the patriarch of both, and they hold converse with the stars, whose broken branches show the scars of many years and much of strife. This is the common law of life. So I guess the message is, when those tough times come, it's a chance for us to grow and to set our roots deeper so that we can withstand the storm. But we all have the capacity to be like this. And I hope that in the last 12 weeks, you've all seen something positive happen with your health, with your energy, that you've had some degree of hope that things could get better, that you've seen positives. And you're starting to see somebody in front of the mirror that you're starting to become impressed with. Like, I didn't know you could do that. Maybe you can do a little bit more. And maybe you're saying to yourself, I'm not done. I'm still got a long way to go to be where I want to get, but now I know I can get there, or I'm on the right track. So I hope that's what you'll remember with this image of this little tiny seed. So it's the last class, but it's really just the beginning, because now you have all the tools. I think, I've had a lot of chances over the years to add things in. I've tried to give you the most important information. There's some things we didn't talk about, some things I'm not really that knowledgeable about, but I've given you everything that this is the sum total of everything I've learned over 61 years and 40 years of studying science, and then my clinical experience with patients and seeing how they respond. So I know a lot of you are going to re-enroll in the class again in January or another time, because sometimes you do get more out of it the second time around, because you know kind of what's coming. You can listen a little bit better the second time around and catch things. But it's not really the end. But we are going to miss you next week. I mean, we're used to coming here and seeing you guys, and we like the class dynamic. So right now what we want to do is pass out a few awards, and then we're going to give you a chance before you leave, if anybody wants to share any stories, experiences they've had in their journey that you think might be inspirational, or any feedback you want to give us or the group, we'll give you some time to do that. If you're not up to that, we'll just let you go.
Okay. That's our first winner.
Okay.
It's for the person who's lost the most actual weight.
Are you going to tell them who it is?
No, you are.
Oh, it's Bob McConnell.
Good job, Bob. Bob lost a total of 22 pounds during our class.
I had a lot of extra.
We also have another award. It's for the person who lost the most percentage of weight, and sometimes that's the same person and sometimes it's not. But today it is not. This person lost 9.43% of their body weight, and the winner is Joy Dawson.
Bring your toy.
Okay, we had two nominees for the most encouraging participant. I'm going to read them both. The first one is this person is inspiring on anti-inflammatories, no carbs, and very encouraging on daily water intake, encouraging on the 12, 24, and 36-hour fasting, and we are honoring Marilyn Orr. The second one is she is very self-disciplined and works hard at whatever she does, and the winner is Tammy Yakabuchi. Did I say that right, Tammy? Where are you at? Did I pronounce you right? Okay. Okay, then we want to kind of recognize the folks that have lost at least 5% of their body weight. So I'm going to let it's
Oh,
blue.
so you've been pronouncing the names for 12 weeks.
I know, right?
Okay, so we have Joyce Anderson, Dave Dawson, Joy Dawson, Christina Dotz, Kathy Frucci, David Hanhart, Trudy Hanhart, Tammy Jakabuchi, is that right? Jakabuchi? Yakabuchi. John Jacqueline?
Jacqueline?
John Jacqueline, Deborah Crahell, Chelsea Liebold, Bob McConnell, the blue ones, right? Or
Yeah, just the blue.
the ones, okay. Pat Palmer, Margaret Pritz, Brenda Reese, Ann Wrench, Chris Schnell, Sally Vance, and Sarah Wolf. That's really good.
Congratulations.
That's really good. That's a big deal. 5% is enough to see numbers change in your cholesterol, your blood sugar, and your blood pressure. So that's really good. Did you want to say any more? Okay, all right. So, like I said, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but sometimes we've had to cover so much information, I'll stand here, that we haven't really had enough time for you guys to interact like we wanted you to, interact with each other. Sometimes in the past, we've sat around in a semicircle and just talked about our struggles and what we've learned. So this is sort of our last chance to share with people what you've learned, any insights that you've gained, anything that's changed in your life that you think would be inspirational or helpful for somebody else, or anything you want to say before we part our ways tonight. So this is your chance if anybody wants to say anything to the group. Yes.
I have a little.
Oh, great. Yes, that's fine.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank Debbie and Seth Angel. I know them from Schönbrunn. We volunteered there. And if it hadn't been for her, I don't think I'd show here up here at this class. And of course, I want to thank you for this knowledge. And just, I was in a really dark place. I retired 5 years ago. Within 2 years, I had packed on over 20 pounds when I had retired. And I just thought that whenever you retired, you just went out to breakfast, you went out to eat, you know, it just became a natural thing to do. And my friends were just like, well, that's just what happens, you know. No, and I found that out, that's not true, that's what happens. And whenever you stand in the mirror and you go ugly, ugly, fat, fat, and you stand here and cry every day, you know that you need help. And a lot of times, you know, I put on a happy face and act like I was great, but I wasn't. So, but I just want to point out that your lesson, the very first thing when you said, eat slowly. So every day I was faithful. I ate my Greek yogurt, I ate my blueberries, and I ate my granola. And I sat there and I ate slowly. In less than a week's time, I realized half my food was still on my plate. And then he said, cows know when to give up milk. So I had to like, okay, I guess I can give up yogurt. Okay, I guess I can do that. And then the other thing was, okay, now I can't eat my granola because it says, you know, wheat's not good for you. So, you know, now I eat tangerines for breakfast and I'm just fine. If I eat breakfast, if I'm not fasting. So, and then the stretching exercises was so great. I had to the point where I would get out of the car and I had to stand there because I didn't think my leg was going to move. So stretch, stretch, stretch. So that's what I started doing. So I can go to the Norma Johnson Center. I can hike those hills again like I used to 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I just want you people to know that you can do it. Don't just settle for this is what happens when you get older. And I really truly wish that this could be taught to 5th and 6th graders in high school, in school. You know, you go and you look at these kids, and I'm in the grocery store, and I'm just like flipping out because what people are got in their grocery carts. And unfortunately, I live with a man that doesn't want to hear anything about this, and he's basically killing himself is what he's doing with it. And that's the part that just breaks my heart. So, you know, I've lost 18 pounds.
Wow. That's awesome.
Never thought.
Yeah.
And still when I look at my plate, it's like there's still food on my plate because I'm just not hungry because I'm eating when I'm supposed to be eating.
Yeah.
So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thank you, Deb. You guys, that was a good one. It's a good find. Anybody else want to say anything? I know that's a hard one to top, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay.
If it wasn't for my friend, a surgical nurse, when I called her a year ago, when my RA numbers were through the roof, 250 and going higher, and I thought I ate healthy. I says, Marilyn, she got the ward, what do I need to do? How do I bring numbers down? She said anti-inflammatory, no carbs, water only, no donut, and she really stressed and emphasized. I thank her, so I had a head start in January of last year. I was 270. So I didn't have that much weight loss showing here in 12 weeks, but I was able to continue. Had Marilyn not emphasized her plan, and, you know, I would have done it, but I would have lost, it would have fizzled out. Yeah, I'm gonna have that donut, I'm not, forget it. But the pain is there, and I don't want that cactus pain anymore, so I stuck to it, but I really was getting bumped. But the weight kept falling off. It just, okay, this anti-inflammatory, it works. Oh, and everybody said it's no life, it's no life. So Marilyn had told me 2 years ago, she loved the Fit for Life. It's with Dr. McKnight. And okay, and I searched on, on Google, and I couldn't get connected to you. I had nowhere to go. But then when she told me in March, and now in January, when my numbers are high, okay, we're gonna just call Trinity Hospital. I'm going to ask for an appointment with Dr. McKnight. Well, he's filled up, but just a minute. But how about the Fit for Life? And I got Kelly. And she talked for an hour, and she gave me every answer to every question I had, and I didn't even ask. She gave me the answers. Oh, you're on a statin? Yes, I am. High cholesterol. But they gave me it. I just was on crutches for 5 years. I couldn't walk. I had a hip and 2 knees. Please. I just had my third surgery 3 months ago. Let me walk. I was doing 500 steps a day. You know, please, I'm up to 3,000, 4,000. Yeah, 8,000. I could do 8 to 10,000 steps just cleaning my house now. Normally, 500 steps was a good day.
Wow. That's great.
So, I'm getting there, but is the pain gone from RA? No, I am hoping. But your program emphasized anti-inflammatory to the max. Everything she said I should follow. Dr. Susan Bloom's book on anti-inflammatory also emphasized, but your program is the same thing, but it's not called anti-inflammatory. It's just healthy eating. Yes, like she said, we should start doing it in 5th grade. No. 1 to 5 is when you learn your habits. That would be ideal. School, incorporate little baby steps every day you're in school. Kindergarten, preschool, 1st grade, all the way up. By the time you graduate, we'll have a fit nation.
Thank you, that's great.
Jackie.
That's a really good story.
Thank
you.
So I just continue to say thank you. I just, without this COVID thing, I just would want to hug you all. So, Debbie, Kelly, Dr. McKnight, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming. Anybody else? Go ahead and then I'll let you go next. Go ahead. Yeah,
I had a question about the iodine in the water machine.
yes.
Is it available in the area? I've gone to the website that you talked about, but they don't tell you where to get it.
Can you write down your email address for me and I'll get you connected with somebody?
Okay,
Yeah, name and email address, I'll get you connected.
thank you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've always liked food and nutrition, and that was actually my college degree. But it's changed so much, and it was so fun to learn all the new things that now they've discovered with
Yeah.
regards to food and the new recommendations. And I think what this class did that was most impactful for us is it planted seeds that we then went on and researched on our own. So like even way at the beginning when they were talking about telomeres, and I thought, what the heck is a telomere? And your explanation was good, but then we looked it up and went on YouTube and we heard other people talk about telomeres and what you do to keep them where they need to be. And I mean, everything, sugar and just, you know, the foods that we should be eating now. And so every chapter that we use, we found more places to go research on our own, and we read new books that I wouldn't have ever read, and it all just backed up what you presented, but they had more time to do it,
Right.
you know, so you could get a little bit more in depth.
Yeah,
And I think that was one of the most valuable parts about the class, is it gave us just little seeds that then we could go explore on our own and develop a little bit better background for everything. And, you know, I got way more out of the class than I ever expected.
it's hard to go into the depth that I want to go into.
You can.
Yeah, but we want to cover a lot of topics too. Like, who would have thought we were going to talk about back pain or plantar fasciitis or, you know, some of those conditions that we all have, or a lot of us have.
Right.
But I learned those things a long time ago in the course that inspired me to do this. I've been in practice 2 years and they were talking about piriformis syndrome, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. What is that? Everybody there seemed to know what it was and how to fix it. I'm like, holy cow, that's really common. So, yeah, it's good that it got you studying.
It did, yeah, it
Excellent.
did, that was really what we liked the most.
Anybody else? Yes.
I just, and accentuating what she says, and also my husband was he has now eating the foods, he's a noodle lover, and a potato lover, and rice, and donuts, and nope, they're still in the cupboard, he doesn't touch it. You can make them, I won't eat them. Nope. Bone broth, he makes a soup, and he's learned, he exercises religiously more than me, but I get enough exercise just getting dressed. And just walking out of bed to the bathroom, which is a shorter hallway than this ramp. So, but the anti-inflammatory, when I told people a year ago, this is what I'm doing, I don't want to do a med, they said, no, that's no life, that's no life. And I thought, but this is wrong. It is life. Had I not changed, and I thought I ate healthy, really did.
Yeah.
I love rabbit food. Yeah, this is giving you life.
You're choosing it, right? You got two choices.
Forced to because of the pain, and I wanted to stay away, but,
Yeah.
I don't like walking on a cactus. And marbles and tennis balls all at once.
Yeah.
Wrapped in an ice bag.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Anybody else want to say anything?
So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've been a therapist for a while, about 20 years, but just changing some things, just small things, I noticed that, I haven't lost a lot of weight, but just going through like eating my vegetables first, I find that I get fuller faster. I don't want as much of the, carbs, or even if I'm eating a little bit, that it's smaller portions, and I feel more satisfied because I'm not eating those things so fast. And then the exercise, I've been trying to rotate what I do so I don't get bored, but I know I'm not doing as much as what I should. But like I said, it's just changing the mindset of being more positive and realizing that, you can, there's gonna be days where, yeah, you want that donut, you wanna do the stress eating. But then there's other days where you say, I had that Hershey bar in the afternoon and I had the apple the other day, how did I feel? And I compared it just like what he talked about. And it makes a difference, just being a healthier food, so.
Good, thank you. Okay, well, I just want to, one more time, thank all of you for coming and being so faithful and supporting us. Tell your friends about it if you think it's worthwhile, and we'll be here again in January. We hope to fill up the room. And a special thanks to Kelly and Debbie again for all their hard work. They put in a lot of hours, and it was almost every night I left and they were still here packing, and I felt guilty as I drove away, but I want to thank you guys. Yes, thank you. Do you have critiques or anything?
Yeah, make sure you give me the surveys that you filled out and critique sheets. And there's plenty of flyers left, so take as many as you want. We can print more. And I do have a water bottle for everyone as you're going out, so.